Latte. Coming up. After days of picketing, Finance Minister announces that pensioner bondholders who did not sign on to the domestic debt exchange program have been exempted from the exercise.
All pensioners who did not participate, I pray that puts paid to the need for our senior citizens to picket at the ministry.
And so we're going to continue fighting. And so next week, at the Independence Square, and we invite you media men to come and carry it.
And free senior high school associated with this year's
In the schools I choose, that's why. Which schools did you choose? Ghana National College, Ifa Senior High, Enum Presby, Apam Senior High, Accra Girls. And what grade did you get? 21. as well. We are streaming live on YouTube, on CityTube. Jude Mensa Dankard, you are welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Philip.
How's your Friday going?
I'm really excited that it's a Friday already.
For me, I'm excited.
Ministry since Monday, February 6th, for an exemption from the DDEP. Briefing Parliament on the
Pensioner bondholders who self-exempted from government's domestic debt exchange program picketed at the office of the Finance Ministry. Program. Today, February 16, the minister came into Parliament, and before the minister spoke, Dr. Edu Anane entry. Listen to the minister. I asked him what his expectations were as they eagerly awaited for the minister's arrival.
We told the minister we will come today to support to put in whatever statement he is going to give. Yesterday, he said he was going to discuss or even all individuals. We are fine, and then we stop the picketing.
What if you don't hear this statement after consultations with the president?
Well, that will mean the president didn't agree. And therefore, if we are picketing, we'll be picketing against the president's decision not to exempt us. We'll continue to picket, but I don't think the president, and that we will continue to go and picket. The president will not do that. I don't think the president will do that. So I'm hopeful. You can't allow these pensioners to continue to picket at the ministry exempt them. It will not affect anybody, not anybody at all. No. When you just say pensioners have been exempted. So we don't. It comes to that point. We'll go there.
To appear before the House upon the direct Minister Ken Ofori-Atta was in Parliament to provide a policy brief on the government's domestic debt exchange program. He announced that he has officially written to the pensioner bondholders of their exemption from the domestic debt exchange program.
Mr. Speaker, government remains committed to the well-being and dignity of our senior citizens and pensioners. Indeed, it has personally, Mr. Speaker, caused me great distress of finance since Monday, February 6, 2023. I have already indicated the government will honor their coupons, payments, and maturing principles, like all government bonds, in line with government's fiscal commitments. Mr. Speaker, in seeking to understand the concerns of our senior citizens, I have met with them on 3 occasions. The most recent was yesterday, 15 February 2022, where I explained the terms of the new bonds. Mr. Speaker, I subsequently wrote to their convener, letting him know, Mr. Speaker, that all pensioners who did not participate in the bond offering are exempted. Mr. Speaker, I pray that puts paid to the need for our senior citizens to picket at the ministry. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank all those who helped in those discussions for this. I'm confident that with the program reached our shores back in March 2020. I am confident that with the conclusion of the domestic debt exchange program, we will experience stability in the exchange rates, inflation, and interest rate, bringing businesses and families some respite. Mr. Speaker, with the successful completion of the DDEP, we believe that with the sustained support of Ghanaians and this august House, we will recover from this economic crisis sooner rather than later, as indicated by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo.
Ken Ofori-Atta also announced the government's budget going forward.
Mr. Speaker, as already stated in the House in November, we did lose access to the international capital markets at the beginning of 2022. At the same time, budget implementation was confronted with domestic financing challenges from the auctions, as well as lower than estimated domestic revenue mobilization. This presented a very challenging macroeconomic environment during 2022, leading to a widened financing gap of the budget, and therefore became necessary for the Bank of Ghana to fund shortfalls at the auction market to avoid disorderly default and prevent a deeper crisis. Mr. Speaker, it was necessary for the government 2022 and reports that the total overdraft extended to government for 2022 was 37.9 billion. Mr. Speaker, in line of Section 30, Clause 6 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2022, Access 1.2, I'm using this platform to inform the legislature of the financing of the budget by the Bank of Ghana. The domestic debt exchange exercise and the external debt restructuring program will make such financing unnecessary going forward in 2023 and beyond.
After the submission by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, there were reactions from both members of the minority and majority caucus.
We are on the brink of economic catastrophe, of Armageddon, of a cataclysmic minister who has betrayed the trust of the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, what is even so obnoxious and irritating is the minister's opening remarks that this is a time to rejoice in the Lord. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rejoice in the Lord. The minister forgets that in Proverbs chapter 29 verse 2, the Bible says that when the wicked rule, the people mourn, the people groan. There is pain and there is anxiety when the wicked rule. So, Speaker, by the time that this government is done with what they are doing, the insolvency we are seeing at the national level, the bankrupt Ghana, we will now see a bankrupt pensioners, bankrupt individuals, bankrupt banks. That is what this government is seeking to do. They are only transferring the bankruptcy from central government to individuals, unfortunately. Our country simple put. Mr. Speaker, what will shock you is that this minister and the government is transferring the bankruptcy to pensioners. It's transferring the bankruptcy to individual bondholders. It is transferring this bankruptcy to rural banks, transferring this bankruptcy to credit unions. And the financial sector, don't be surprised that by the time
Mr. Speaker, the economy has since 2017 not been in this state. Of course, all of us do know that the records of 2017, 2018, 2019 speak for themselves. We have lifted this economy to a plateau level. Mr. Speaker, from what existed in 2012, 2013, 2014, and as at the point of exit, 2016, we were plateauing. And you know that the difference is clear until the advent of COVID-19. And even after COVID-19, Mr. Speaker, look at the growth of GDP in 2021. The economy was bouncing back. It was bouncing back. Then entered 2022. And we find ourselves down again. We have to lift ourselves up.
A Deputy Finance Minister, John Kuma, also provided some details on the submission.
Tendered in the new bond exchange program, which has resulted in the high percentage of 85% of success, which is very necessary condition for our economic recovery at the moment. Indeed, what we have all done today has positioned Ghana to securing an IMF program in a record time. And we strongly believe that once we have completed the domestic debt exchange, steps are already underway on the external debt exchange as well, and we believe that very soon we will be able to secure the IMF program. On the specific issue of our retirees who were seeking exemptions, we have stated categorically today in a written letter to the forum that all the retirees who did not participate in the exercise are fully exempted. So there is no need to pick it again. Your concerns have been taken on board. All your coupons will be paid and all that. But I particularly want to thank the 1,340 retirees who in these circumstances felt that they also have to be part in preserving this nation or making a sacrifice towards this domestic dot exchange. And in fact, some of them took part also because the offer that was given to the retirees was very attractive. To be honest, if you check the figures, 80% of all bondholders in Ghana in the category B, the retiree bondholders, 80% of them have maturity more than 5 years. Some are 15 years, 10 years, 12 years. So it was a better offer to give them that you are curtailing the maturity to 5 years. That means that on the 4th year, they can have 50% of their principal. On the existing bond. Okay, so some of them took advantage, and we are grateful for that. It was not meant to put them off or to make them worse off. It was to give them an earlier maturity on their bonds, as some of them were saying.
Meanwhile, the convener of the pensioner bondholders, Dr. Edu Anane Entry, has been speaking with my colleague, Charles Ousukumi.
All that they were asking for, to be exempted just as pension funds has been exempted. That is all the struggle. Whether exemption means this or means that is not their matter. They want to be exempted as pension funds has been exempted. And after 5 weeks of struggling, the minister has now given in and the exemption has been granted.
What does it mean for the culture of protest, the fact that you have done this peacefully and finally been able to achieve your aim? What does this mean for the culture of protest and our democracy at large?
Well, as weak as they were able to do this for 8 days, picketing at the place for 8 days. Peacefully. Nobody insulted anybody. You don't throw anything at anybody, but you get your results. The challenge that we have here is how our young ones, face such situations. So now it is it's something that the elderly ones have done, and the young ones, you learn from it. That if you don't agree to a policy, you can demonstrate, but it should be peaceful. Not crashing with police, not burning cars, not burning ties, pushing people away. No, that shouldn't be the case. We can protest, but protest peacefully. If people who do not even have the strength, as weak as these elderly people were, they were able to go through this protestation by going to sit somewhere quietly, not disturbing anybody, not doing anything to disturb the peace, and they have achieved this result, then we could continue like that without engaging in violence to protest. Learn that you can protest, but not violent. You can do your peaceful protest, and you will still get the results.
Reporting from Parliament, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okain for City News.
So after 8 days of picketing at the Finance Ministry and also going to Parliament House to witness what the Finance Minister will say concerning their exemption from the debt exchange program, they were exempted. And I will pick out of this is their determination, the zeal to ensure that what they wanted in a right way. You saw it from the report that Dr. Edu Anane Entry indicated that if it has to be done, it has to be done in a nice way and not to riot and chaos all over the place. And I think I side with him. It's a very laudable call that he's made to people who will not be in support of certain policies that government will bring on board.
Yeah, I mean, Philip, I totally agree with you on this. If there was anyone in this country who was giving up on the country, I didn't think that it was possible to change the way the political elite manage our country. I think we've got the answer from Dr. Edouard Nanienchi and the other pension bondholders. I mean, activism, as we've come to know it, shouldn't necessarily be about the numbers. It should be about, like I was saying yesterday, resilience to a cause. It should be about dedication to a cause. And for me, it's that stop. Live very excited and very proud of themselves. I really want to commend them for their show of resilience. So many talking points from yesterday's series of activities that happened in Parliament, from the debate, from the finance minister's address, and it was so striking for me, the lack of support, the apparent lack of support from the majority side to the finance minister. In the past, when there were attempts to heckle the minister, you see some really forceful defense from members of his party, but this time round, to some extent, it was quite lacking, and for me that was quite striking. Go back to Honorable Kweku Kwatin, that's Obuasi West MP's speech, and for him, as a former deputy finance minister who worked with the same finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, to call for a cut in expenditure, for me was quite profound.
Is meeting the pensioner bondholders again, but the meeting is yet to start.
Philip, it's a little too late, but hopefully we are able to still salvage the situation. Yesterday on the show, I was making reference to the fact that if you look at how, and we are not the first country to undertake a debt restructuring program. Other countries have done it in the past. Yesterday I made mention of the fact that if you look at countries like Chad, countries like Argentina, well, theirs were quite hostile, but they still managed to sail through it. Countries like Mozambique, Ecuador, Grenada, Belize, all of these countries had an average participation of 90 to 100%. Now we understand that our participation from the finance ministry is over 80%. The analysts and the experts, finance analysts, has cast doubts on some of these numbers. I mean, for a successful debt relief, it's basically about the haircut amount and the participation rate. So you can understand why government will be eager to put out very impressive numbers. For tendering, 2-3 days later, we were told it was 60%, now 80%. I feel like I sort of agree with the financial analyst that the numbers look a little bit sketchy and government would have to come clean on this again. But hey, yesterday from Parliament, really, it was pretty interesting. The comments from Honorable Adongo, the speech by Honorable Ablakwa, and you see, people have suggested that with this finance minister and his government and the president, it appears as though they live in some bubble, for which reason they are not in touch with the reality on the ground. And we saw that in his address, in his opening remarks. He says it's a time to be thankful when money's haircuts are being taken all over the place. They are struggling to make ends meet for themselves. So I mean, there's that stark reality and we need to comment on it. But like I've said, see, for a successful program, we need a broader stakeholder engagement. Government needs to put in place an austerity plan. We need to know between the short to medium term what you are going to do, and very importantly is the fact that we need to.
I think yesterday when the finance minister spoke, he made mention of a number of things that government has put in place to ensure that they are.
But are they going to commit themselves? Are they going to commit themselves to those public options?
Well, we'll come back to that.
It should start with a relook at our public finances.
Well, let's take what the Individual Bondholder Forum is saying. The Bondholders Forum, Individual Bondholders Forum, has said that threat to protest continuously if their bonds are not paid. Let's bring you that insight.
Meanwhile, the Individual Bondholders Forum has intensified calls for payments of their matured bonds with a threat to protest continuously until their bonds are paid.
The protest by the individual bondholders is scheduled to commence on Monday, February 20. Unlike the pensioner bondholders, the individual bondholders are demanding payment of their matured bonds.
The bond is a contract, so it's time to pay. So if government says I'll honor your bonds, it should be as good as self-exemption. So the distinction can only begin to arise when government doesn't honor its word. Then you say exemption is better. But ordinarily, once the contract is due, you pay. That's it. We don't need any esoteric terms, exemption, self-exempt, and the rest. No, because the bond is due. And government gives the simple and clear language that it will pay. So if you're going to pay all bonds that are due, then that's it. Whether you use the word exemption or not, it doesn't matter.
The government has revealed that the domestic debt exchange program has witnessed 85% subscription rate despite the stiff opposition. But the individual bondholders say majority of its members did not subscribe to the program.
So obviously, some individual bondholders will sign for various reasons. You can never get 100% of the people. It's not possible. No, you ask the sociologists and the psychologists, they'll tell you for one reason or another, some people will sign. You hear even the minister saying about 15 to 16% sign. Those are his statistics. In good time or later, signing up, and government must honor. Made a promise. So Furiata said yes, the bonds will be honored. But as we speak now, Mr. Ajiman, the bonds that matured on the 6th of February, that was last week, Monday, have not been last week. And also, I think today is Thursday, was it Monday again? So 3 different maturities, government hasn't paid. And so you see that just saying government will pay, government will honor, government will pay, government will honor, it's not sufficient.
They have threatened to protest continuously until the payments are made.
And so we're going to continue fighting. And so next week, Monday to Friday, we intend to picket at the Independence Square, and we invite you media men to come and carry it. We will fight and fight and fight till the government listens to us and honors its words. Because we've also even shown, all the professors of economics have shown that government must cut its expenditure. Government must live within its means. Simple. If government was living within its means, we'll not have all this hula baloo.
It appears government and individual bondholders will have to hold more engagements as far as the domestic debt exchange program is concerned, despite government's assurance that these individual bondholders have been exempted. There are calls for the government to make sure that for those bonds who have matured already, payments be made. Reporting for City News, Hansen Ajeman.
So the individual bondholders forum is saying that, well, government has to pay what is due them. But I think that, well, the consultation you called for is something that has to go on, not one day, not 2 days, so that they understand and do from the entrenched positions from each other's point of view. Looking at they demanding the payment, government is also trying to secure the IMF bailout as of now. A number of people putting pressure on government. Do you take or their portion of the cake?
I believe this is a true test of the finance ministry and their commitments to pay the funds of those who do not sign up to the bond.
Mind you, because the finance ministry or government is just coming out of the demands of the pensioner bondholders.
Yes, so
and now the individual bondholders forum are also making another request.
So like I'm saying, this is the true test of government's commitment to a voluntary exercise, really, in the sense that now that some have matured bonds and are unwilling to sign on to the program, will they go ahead with their promise to still meet their obligations? And for me, it's really a make or break moment for government, in that going ahead to fulfill their side of the bargain grants them some legitimacy going forward to the program. Mind you, all of this is being done in order to be able to meet an IMF staff level agreement by March. Experts say that
they are done with the staff level agreement. They want the board.
The board agreement with the IMF. All of this is being done to meet those requirements by March, and we understand that part of this process is that you are able to get through a proper debt restructuring. So it's going to be interesting in the coming days. For me, my worry really is that the government really has not been forthcoming with information. Anytime you hear the finance minister speak on it, it's only when he's been accosted by Parliament or by some people protesting. I would have expected that, like we saw the information ministry do some time ago when COVID happened and when other issues happened, in the country.
Consistent updates and all that.
Yes, and you see, this goes a long way to build confidence and also to buy in the legitimacy of the program. So that is one side of it, and I've always meant countries have done so. I mean, countries who in recent times went through a similar process. For them, it was months. So, for instance, you have a country like Chad, a 17-month period. We are trying to push IS through a 2 months, 2 weeks period, and we expect the same level of participation. We expect the same level. It doesn't work that way. So, you would want to, I mean, maybe now it's a little too late, but in terms of trying to get everybody on board. But for the few who are still available and still listening, I feel like government should find a way of trying to reach out to a lot more people to get them to buy in what they are doing. But I mean, interesting days. Today we understand that Mahama Yariga and the minority, not him alone, but the minority as a caucus are pushing through a motion challenging some of these things, and government's authority really in the whole debt exchange program, whether they are allowed to do certain things. I mean, Article 181 of the Constitution has come out a lot in the conversation. So we'll be seeing how all of this play out in the coming days. But I mean, a very bold call from Martin Pebu. I mean, he's learning a thing or two from the pensioner bondholders.
He's the convener for
he says they are going to protest to the independence. So
he's the convener for the individual bondholders forum, and we'll keep you updated as to what happens at the finance ministry, the meeting between the pensioner bondholders and also the ministry. And also Martin Pebu as the lawyer for the forum. We will bring you more update on what happens at the finance ministry concerning the meeting between the finance ministry and the pensioner bondholders. You're still watching CNR Extra here on CTV. Still to come. Free SHS Secretariat urges calm as it begins resolving challenges associated with this year's school placement process. Stay with us, we'll be back with more stories.
Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Everybody, let me see.
My name is Joe Metal, and I want to invite you specially to the induction service of Dr. Stephen Wyndham and the outdooring of the new executive presbytery officers of the Assemblies of God. It's happening on the 25th. Come, let's join together as we adore our new leadership, and we're trusting that God will lead them to take the church to where He intends it to be. God bless you, and see you there.
There is about to be a shift, growth, and transformation as they plan to reach, rebuild, restore, reform, reposition, and rebrand the Assemblies of God Ghana. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but there is safety in the multitude of counselors. Come, let us welcome and celebrate our new Assemblies of God leaders. God bless you.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra here on CGTV. My name is Philip Nilati. I'm here with Jude Mensah Duncan. You can join us with your comments on WhatsApp line 0204447033. Let's bring you some more stories, and it has to do with placement of the graduates from the BEC, or students who sat for the BEC hoping to get placement into the senior high schools. Well, the Free SHS Secretariat is asking parents and guardians to be calm as they address all the challenges associated with the placement.
The Free SHS Secretariat is urging calm as it's working assiduously to resolve challenges associated with this year's school placement process. The call comes after parents and potential senior high school students besieged the National School Placement Solution Center here in Accra to address issues associated with the school placement. There is more in this report filed by City News' Anne Shelley Zhu.
Hundreds of parents with their wards gathered at the Nat Hall in Accra, hoping to solve challenges associated with the school placement. The School Placement Solution Center has been set up to deal with all challenges, including and not limited to students who were not placed in schools, gender issues, change of schools, among others. The Ghana Education Service set up the solution centers across the country as part of its efforts to solve the problems that may arise following the release of the school placement. A visit to the Greater Accra Solution Center showed parents and their wards with various issues seeking for a redress. Some of them spoke to City News.
Actually, my little sister, she wrote some of the BEC, but unfortunately for her, I didn't get school. So I'm in.
Which school did she choose?
I think he chose Equiapemine, Kumasi Anglican, Konongo Dumasi, and Collins Senior High School.
And she got none of them?
Nah, and he did placement. That was yesterday, but then they refused to give her school.
That's a self-placement?
Sure. They have attended to me, but they said I should write her her name at the back of the, the placement form, and the school that she wants, and the grade that she got, and then look to it for, let's say, Saturday, Sunday, and check the portal again, the placement again if maybe.
So they sent to you. Which school did you choose now for the self-placement?
Okay, actually I chose Kumasi Anglican, that's CAS, and then Kumaka, and then KNUST Kumasi.
I'm here to change a school for my cousin. My cousin, she was given a day school, and where she is far from where she has been placed.
Where was she placed?
She's placed at St. John's Grammar at Domi, and she stays at Anya, so the cost involved.
Did she pick for day or board?
day or boarding?
Day school. Yes.
That's how.
So the issues are enormous, and parents are complaining, guardians are also complaining, and they want the awards to be placed in schools so they can start the academic work there. That is going to be on February 27, according to the Free SHS Secretariat. Let's cross over to my colleague, Kennedy Chumesi, who is with me here in the City Newsroom. Ken, what more can you report on the grounds? Are you having a lot more guardians and parents trooping in there with their awards to get their issues addressed?
And as you all know, the Ghana Education Service released a new placement for graduate and basic and examination in high school. Because this is not so made a case that several resolution centers have been set up across and to help resolve the issue to address the issue in the US. And in Accra, the resolution center is a national. And just as yesterday, our situation is similar. The national the parents are shooting in and we want issues to get resolved. Most of the challenges have got to do with the students, their candidates not getting school. So they are that issue. We have none of them. So most of them are shooting in to get answers. That was how the process is to help their awards get school. And another issue is that parents are coming in with gender-related issues. Parents who and candidates who have before registering, they were new, but when the results came and then their situations came with the MP, so the idea to rectify that damage state. And issues related to people who had people who chose to and they're giving boarding, people who chose boarding and they're using space. So these are some of the issues that parents are coming in at the NASPOR to get the authority to rectify it for them. Things we already predicted that they have indicated that daycare children online when they go to begin their admission. And for the 7 children, that's when an official draft will be.
Okay, Ken, we will come back to you. Keep positioning yourself there. We'll come back to you, and also the awards have been saying about the challenges they are facing with the free SHS, the placement rather. So we'll get back. That's my colleague there, Kennedy Chumesi, who is here with me in the City Newsroom, giving us updates of what is happening at the Nat Hall concerning the placement of students in the various SHS institutions. What do you make of this issue? It looks like it's something that happens every now and then. Yearly, it happens.
I mean, Philip, it's the duty of people in leadership to think very broadly and not narrowly and make decisions, take very big decisions that go into making sure that our future as a country is bright. Mind you, this topic we are having to discuss involves people we would call future leaders. So really, it's really the duty of leaders to think very broadly about some of the challenges that confront us. I mean, we maintained on the City Breakfast Show, it's been said on numerous occasions by people in said that the reopening date really for schools as it stands really doesn't make any sense, because at the end of the day, look at how long it took for the GS to release the school placements. And historically, this is nothing new. This is not the first time we are having challenges with people having to deal with misplaced gender, in that they were given a boys' school when they are female and vice versa. This is not the first time it's happening. When I was going to Accra Academy, it happened same. People were coming into the halls, and there were females who had been given. So this is not the first time. So what do you do when you're in leadership? You assess. I mean, history is to guide us, right? So you look at all of these things to make informed decisions. You get it? It's clearly not feasible. I'm not too sure from the GES if they are going to still open the center on weekends. That's tomorrow and on Sunday, so people can still put in their complaint. But from what we see at the centers, it doesn't give the indication that all of those concerns can be resolved. And this is just say there are centers there in the north, there are centers there in the north. Camp. School should be open.
The 20th February, as of yesterday, when I spoke to the Free SHS Secretariat, they indicate, I think Sandra spoke to the woman rather, and she noted that the 20th February is for orientation and registration, and contact hours or activities, teaching and learning will start on February 27th.
That is even the bigger problem with that announcement, because orientation is a core part of the whole schooling process of that ward. So you'd rather want a child going to a school without having him being oriented about the structures in place and how the school go about their dealings, and that's even more problematic. The child doesn't even know that there's a counselor for him, doesn't even know where the bursary is, doesn't know where the. I mean, it's even complicates the issue. What we are saying is that it's very important that the GES take steps to extend the date, give parents and wards ample time to prepare to go to their school. Mind you, when the GES director was speaking the other time, some over 165,000 students could not be placed because they were not matched to schools, and all of these people have to go through the self-placement system. Challenges. So the argument that February 27th is for academic. They should come again.
I'm sure these issues will be rectified. It's a yearly issue, and it has to do with computer and all that. It has to do with machines. So
like I'm saying, as a government, you think very broadly about these things and make sure that your decisions are ahead of time. Not just. I mean, if it was about taking decisions,
you're fired up
on the spur of the moment. We could all
let's go for a break. When we come back, we will tell you more about the Asokore Mampon District Court that has granted 100,000 Ghana.
The clouds are gathering. The anticipation. Day 19th February at the Perez Dome, featuring guest artists. At the Bantama Church of Pentecost with guest artists PSA Esther, Moses OK, ACP Kofi Sapo, and CC True. Event starts at 5 p.m. Tickets are 60 Ghana Cedis single, 110 Ghana Cedis double, 150 Ghana Cedis VIP, and 250 Ghana Cedis family of 5 in Accra, and 50 Ghana Cedis single, 90 Ghana Cedis double, 100 Ghana Cedis VIP, and 200 Ghana Cedis family of 5 in Kumasi. Get yours via the short code *725*8080# or these ticket outlets. The Awake Experience 20 Pride Life Ghana.
You're welcome back. Let's take you through the University of Ghana campus, because the management of the university has indicated that the order given by the court, which restrains the university from going ahead with its new residential policy, cannot be enforced. Let's bring you that insight.
Now, the court, which restrains the university from going ahead with its new residential policy, cannot be enforced. Now, some residents of Commonwealth Hall petitioned an Accra High Court on the university's new policy, where continuing students of the hall are not allowed back into their residence as a way to avert court proceedings. The court ordered the disregard of the order by management. In a statement released by the University of Ghana on February 16, the authorities said that in the wake of the injunction, its lawyers have filed an appeal until a final determination of the case. The school further cautioned that it will not countenance any violent conduct in a bid to enforce any court order.
So the update on this issue is that heavy security presence is still on the campus to ensure that the disturbances that we've witnessed in the institution following the entrenched position of the students and also the management doesn't bring any further chaos on the campus. What do you make briefly of this whole issue? It looks like it's something, it keeps happening, and I'm sure management is also trying to find some solution to this particular problem.
Yeah, I mean, for the intellectual hub of the country, one of the intellectual hubs of the country, to be involved in almost every now and then, when a story of the University of Ghana comes, is almost synonymous with violence, with students, miscreants, misbehaving. And for me, that is worrying, because, like I'm saying, that should be a place of, that is like the intellectual base of the country. So you'd expect a more progressive kind of conversations around the university. I mean, University of Ghana students being innovative with stuff, but it's clearly not the case. And for me, I've always maintained that the root cause of the problem, and it's a very difficult conversation to be had because of the kind of connection some of these old students feel with the school, but and their halls of residence. But a difficult part of the problem are not necessarily the students on campus, but also old students to foment trouble. And I've always maintained that, sanity needs to prevail, discipline needs to prevail. And I really hope that Professor Amfor and the team in charge would really take this upon themselves. It will be a great legacy that during their time they were able to once and for all make sure that student vandalism, and not necessarily, I'm not referring to Commonwealth boys, but vandalism in its broad and literary term ends. And that would be a great legacy to leave, because...
And I think that is what the management of the institution wants to push. But, I always say that with this particular issue, we wouldn't have enough time to talk about it, because it looks like the entrance position of the management and the school, some sort of consultation. That is what we've been calling for every now and then on the show. Let's go to Asokore Mampong, where the district court has granted 100,000 Ghana cedis bail to 2 persons arrested for allegedly trafficking some foreign nationals to engage in begging in Ghana. Let's bring you that insight briefly and have a conversation on it.
The Asokore Mampong District Court has granted 100,000 Ghana cedi bail to 2 persons arrested for allegedly trafficking some foreign nationals to engage in begging in Ghana. The accused persons, 32-year-old Zakari Musa, a driver, and 28-year-old Bashiru Husseini, an agent believed to be trafficking Nigerian nationals to Ghana, were arrested on Monday. Now, City News is
The intervention by the Asokore Mampong Municipal Assembly led to the arrest of the 2 persons after some 45 Nigerian nationals transported to Ghana were left stranded. Although the nationals, both adults and children, insisted they were transiting to Ivory Coast from Niger, the driver and his accomplice said Ghana was the final destination. The nationals were repatriated and the 2 persons were also detained by the police to assist in investigations. The accused persons appeared in court on Thursday and were charged with conspiracy to commit a crime and human trafficking. Counsel for the accused persons prayed the court to grant his clients bail, but the court insisted it needed to be convinced that they were not a flight risk. The court later granted 100,000 Ghana cedis bail with 2 sureties, and one has to be justified by an official of the Nigerian consulate in Ghana.
The case has been adjourned to 16th March 2023. Hafiz Tijani, Asakwarimampan District Court.
So a good job there done by the police and also the court taking over that issue. But this also brings down to the issue of see something, say something. Because yes, because if it has to do with human trafficking and you are aware of any information of that sort, you will relate to the police and the police will take over and eventually gets to the court.
Kele Kuda has a really funny joke about the see something, say something messages the national security have been sending.
It's 299, right?
Yeah, they've been sending us, and he's saying that the national security wants him to come in. That was really interesting on the back page. I mean, of course, when you see something, you have to say it. My concern is the risks they pose on our streets, the traffic risks they pose on our streets, because some of these children don't know when to stop. Traffic is moving, they are still on your car trying to beg you to give them money. I mean, and it poses a greater risk. And for me, it's we can't sit aloof and continue to watch this happen. It's a ticking time bomb. It's like you're just waiting for the day where something really catastrophic will happen, and now we begin to look at it. Hopefully we don't get there. We expect those in charge, those in leadership to take the necessary action. I think it's very unsafe for children their age to be running on like if they're even on the streets, that's fine. Some of them are like holding onto the vehicle. If you don't give them money, they are not going to leave, and that's for me is really unsafe.
It happens in actually the big cities, Accra, Kumasi, Takra, the Cape Coast, and every part. This is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on City TV. My name is Philip Latte. I did this with Jude Mensah Duncan. Thank you. Many thanks for your time as well, and keep watching City TV.